the recording?
Started it.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Samir Bhatia. I'm the CEO of Brightleaf. We are Apttus' partner and go-to-people for what is commonly referred to as migration of legacy contracts into Apttus. What we do within that migration part of it is the extraction of data within the legacy from the legacy contracts. And I'm going to show you if you guys have had a chance to see the video, this will be almost a repeat of the video, but of course interactive, so you can ask any questions that you want. Who has seen the video and who has not? It'd be good to just get a pulse. So let's start. Chinman has seen it. Chris, have you seen it? Okay, Jonathan, have you seen it?
I have not seen it.
Okay, so then I'll go through it. I'll do the little longer version of the demo, which is the demo we actually do with our end clients. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here, and I always lose track of where it is. And here it is. Share screen. Start. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, see.
So typically we do a three-part presentation. Right now I'll do a two-part presentation. One part is just a few slides about who we are and what we do. And the second part of the presentation is the demo of our software and our process on how we do the extraction. And the third part is usually the pricing, but I won't do the pricing on this call. I'll do the pricing, I believe, with the PST team is what Jessel advised, on a separate call. Okay. So what we are is, we are a really focused company. We do one thing and one thing only, which is extract metadata from contracts. So it could be any metadata, it could be terms and conditions, it could be legal provisions or even obligations. Our software is configurable to extract anything. It's a complete natural language processing software with AI and machine learning built into it. And that does a bulk of the heavy lifting, but any software cannot do it all. And that is why we supplement that with a team of lawyers, all in India, so that there's a huge cost arbitrage, which we pass on to a client. And we are the only company which has our people, our process, and most importantly, our technology. And I'll show that to you. And because we have that control, we deliver up to 6 Sigma results to our clients. And we've done that every single engagement so far. Just to give you a little background on how we met is we were doing work for BNSF Railway, even before Cameron had sold in there. And we won the RFP against Seal Software, and it was, I think, written by Seal, and we were 1/3 the cost from the feedback we got for software plus the QC part to deliver accurate results when the other competitors were 3 times for software only. So it's a huge cost advantage, and because we've done good work, we are now branding ourselves as the under your AI umbrella. So it's going to be powered by Brightleaf. The agreements have been set up, so all the reps you can actually take the contract on Apttus paper, and then we would be the sub doing it behind there. All those agreements have been set up already. And because we are such a focused company, we win a bunch of awards, and the most important one I feel was myself was voted one of the top 10 CEOs, right along with Kirk. You see, that's me here, that's Kirk there. All the others are nothing to do with the CLM space, and it just feels good to be right next to Kirk on that. So you see that, Brightleaf Solutions and Kirk. The partnership has been phenomenal. We actually pass a lot of leads to you guys and work jointly on accounts, and all the reps reach out to me all the time. Just today I was working with Kyle and Colin on a couple of accounts. So all the reps know of us, but now we are empowering the SE team to do the demo. So we will set you up with our software. You learn to do this presentation yourself, so that you can, of course, reach out to us anytime, but in time constraints, you guys can do it too, and you'll have access to everything. Make sense so far? Any questions? I'll just pause a little bit here.
No, sounds good.
Okay. This is some of our joint clients. Uh, and if you see, we actually finished work for New Star, which is Mark Sain's client. We just delivered the final batch today, and they are. And if you see a lot of quotes on the website, on our website, but each and every of our clients just love us. We did work for Alorica, which is Gary Wright's client, and because we did such good work, and actually it was more of a rescue there. And the Apttus installation wasn't going too well, but with our help, we managed to extract all the metadata. The PS team under Bill Lesko configured it correctly, and now they're getting huge benefit out of the instance of Apttus. We are working with Metric Stream right now, Healthcare Services Group, and Council. We've done work for AppNexus. So a lot of these are Snapchat. A lot of these are joint clients with Apttus. In order to get accurate pricing, this is all the information that we need. Count of masters, count of addendums by each contract type, and a list of metadata items. But we are even simplifying that, and we'll be rolling the whole thing out in the next 2 weeks to all the reps with an even simpler solution than this. So we only need the count of documents and the number of metadata items, and the pricing can be given by it. And you will see why we ask these questions. People come to us for migration, and again, remember, this is the presentation we do to our end clients, but I'm just presenting it to you because it's you might be presenting it the same way. What you saw on the video or what you'll see in the recording, I've sent a link. I think Jinmin has had a chance to look at it, but the others haven't. It's a condensed version of it. So I did a recording for Kamal, who was traveling to Europe, and he needed something quick, so Jessel reached out to me for that. But people come for migration for multiple reasons. If you don't migrate your old contracts into Apttus, and the new installation of Apttus is there, people say, "I'll just use Apttus from this day forward." They are missing out a lot of information which is there in the old contracts, right? The installation of Apttus is not as beneficial as if all the old documents as well as the metadata was there for reporting. All the reporting is done in Apttus. We don't do any analytics, no reporting, nothing. Our end product is the extracted data in a CSV file that you use Xauthor for Excel to upload into Apttus. Okay, and I'll show you that whole process, not the Xauthor upload part, but the extraction part of it. People have used us for revenue recovery. BNSF had these. It's a classic example and a great example. And I think even Kent and Kamal use this all the time. BNSF came to us because they have these miles and millions of miles of track, railway track across US, but it sits on somebody else's property. And it turns out that they were maintaining that mile of track when the other party should have been maintaining it. And so they asked us to extract things like not only the party names whose land the track sits on, but whose maintenance responsibility is. What are the details behind that? What is the length of the track? What is the mileage marker that the track starts off on, ends on? We could configure our engine to extract anything, and the engine did a bulk of the actual work, but it couldn't do all of it because we did a contract, for example, from 1892 with cursive handwriting. That had to be done manually. So our lawyers actually did the extraction manually. And they found that they were maintaining the tracks when the other party should have been. And they found so far $8.2 million of yearly revenue they had not been billing the client to the other party for decades. I said my negotiation was bad. I should have negotiated the percentage of the fees for that. And people come to us for compliance, about FASB and IFRS and GDPR, and people are asking us to extract stuff to be compliant. Metric Stream is one of them that is coming to us for the GDPR reasons. So far so good. I'll just pause here for a second. Okay, no questions. People make these are best practices, which you guys probably know more than we do because you have the feet on the ground. People say, okay, I've got so many hundreds of thousands of contracts. BNSF has 500,000 contracts, being such an old company. They say they panic. So we always say start small. Maybe current contracts, maybe your more important contracts, or that's your sell side or your buy side. Maybe you want to start with a certain date. But start small and then add as you go on, is what we tell them. And that's exactly what you started. What can we extract? In one short word is anything. In terms of legal realm, renewal dates, evergreen clauses, is there rights of first refusal? What is the governing law? We can extract whatever the client wants and however the client wants it. So the client might want from the NDAs just 5 or 7 things to be extracted, but from the MSAs or their supplier agreements might be a lot more items. The bill is directly proportional to the amount of information that needs to be extracted. And it's not for the software. The software is ours, so we don't need to pay us for the license. It is to check each and every element, and I'll show you that process when I do the demo of the software. So it is important to know what they want to extract out of which agreement type. There's a definition process that we go through with the client, which I'll show you, and the manual that we write out. But, in terms of not in the legal realm, I told you we could extract stuff from the railway crossing agreements for the length of tracks. We've done assignments for mutual fund settlement companies to extract the NAV value, and from the trade conforms to extract the NAV value of the mutual fund, the number of shares traded. The software can do anything, and our people QC each and every element. How would you do it? You might know this better. Cut and paste yourself, outsource it to an LPO who might do it manually or use somebody else's technology. The end client might want to license the technology and do it themselves, get frustrated, and then give it to us because we control all 3 dimensions. And we can give it back in a way that, and we've done this all the time with all the assignments that we worked on, where we can preserve the parent-child relationship. So we give back an extracted result of the master in one line, and then the addendum on the other lines. We create a unique contract ID, and we give you the identifier in the addendum of the unique contract ID of the master. And Xauthor has been configured, easily configured to upload all this into Apttus. But if there's a different format to follow, we define the format during the definition phase of the project. And it's formatted. This Excel sheet is formatted using Xauthor and uploaded there. This is the last slide, our end-to-end process. It is important to let the client know that this part, which is the definition part, is very interactive with the client. If the client doesn't spend time with us, they don't know what they're getting, because I'll give you one example we always give. If the client says, extract the start date of the assignment from the contract, how many contracts will have this assignment will start on? If you don't find that, do you look at the effective date or do you look at the date of signature? And if you don't find those, what do you look at? Some clients even say, take the date the file was created on if you don't find anything. The moral here is, if you don't document these rules, and if you give 10 contracts to 10 lawyers, you'll get 11 different answers. And that means you don't know what you're getting, and you can't normalize the data. So we spend heavy amount of time with the clients here. We'll be spending time with the PS team also, or the implementation partner, because we extract stuff in batches of 10 to 25 contracts. The client verifies that the data is extracted the way they want to look at it, and the PS team verifies whether the format of the spreadsheet is correct, long text, short text, date field. What do you do if it's blank? Do you put it not applicable? Do you put an NA? Do you leave it blank? All those rules are configured specifically to the client. That gets honed in after 2 to 3 batches of 10 to 25 each. And then we take over. We will do what is commonly known as OCR, and OCR is a loosely used word. The traditional definition of OCR, as you know, is converting an image-based file into a text-based file. So we do that as part of the service. We will even give back the file that we OCR. But the OCR file might have errors because it could be a bad scan, smudgy scan, handwritten stuff. We don't fix those errors, but we'll give you back that document, or the client back that document. Now, the decision the client has to make is, do they want the original document, which is an image-based file, maybe a TIFF, a JPEG, or even an image-based PDF, and the OCR file, and upload both of them into Apttus, or do they want to upload only one of them? There's pros and cons of both of them. And New Star, for example, decided to upload both. Alorica uploaded both, but especially on a Salesforce platform, you know that it costs money to have displays in there. So that decision has to be made by the client. But we do the OCR conversion. We will configure the engine internally, run our software, do up to 3 levels of quality control by our lawyers, and give back a CSV file that can be uploaded to Apttus. So that is the longer version of the presentation. Any questions I can answer before I go to the software demo?
Yeah, I think you actually covered 2 questions that I had. The one was, do you actually also upload the original document? It sounds like you do. How is that done? Because otherwise it's just you're spitting everything out into an Excel file and then you use Xauthor to push that into Apttus, right?
Yeah, so here's a very good question, Chindan, but because I didn't touch on one thing. We don't actually do the upload into Apttus. That is done by either the PS team or the implementation partner. We are not Apttus implementation partner. We are just the extraction experts.
Got it.
Okay. And in terms of your question about the original file and the image-based file and the OCR file, the original file will be a scanned copy, right? And it might be an image, it might be a text-based file if you've done a save as in Microsoft Word, PDF. It'll be searchable text, right? But if it's a paper-based scan, and you'll see this example when I do the demo, what if there's smudges? Your human eye can see it, but an OCR software will change the smudge into garbage. So that is why people want the original record as well as the OCR file. OCR file will give you the ability to search in the file, right? Apttus can go in and search for stuff within the file. The image file, you can do a search for text on it. But the image file is a good indication in case there are OCR errors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's a business decision. We will provide both the files back. I mean, file one came from the client anyways, and we can add the _OCR to the file name. So within Apttus, they know it's a different file.
So you provide the files and then the PS team does the upload, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, or the implementation partner. So on New Star, it's Statera. On Alorica, it was Bill Lesko's team, for example. On Metric Stream, it's StanDev is doing it. So it depends on who's doing the, let's see. But you have to remember to quote on that part of it. I've been told to tell everybody.
Got it.
Okay. So I'll go to the demo of the software unless anybody else has questions. We will give you access to the software, but I'll show you the demo that we do. So this is our software. We haven't named it yet. We just call it either Extraction Engine or we just call it Brightleaf Solutions here. First thing we do is configure. So it logged me out, auto login. So we can write rules. So if I were to tell you how the software sort of works, lifting the hood of the engine, is at the highest level, it is pattern matching. So it's keyword searching, or it's called regular expression or regex. So we can specify in a rule definition language that we have built specifically for this is find this word next to this word within X words of this word and extract what we call a chunk of text. The chunk can be just as exact words. It can be a sentence. It can be a paragraph, or it can even be the whole clause. Underneath that, it's got natural language processing, so it knows the verbs and nouns and plurals and even lemmas. And then the natural language processing, you can pipe the functions to say, extract from that chunk of text, extract the date, or extract the dollar value, or all these party names, or country, or city, or whatever you want. It's got a whole library of these natural language functions that it's piped to extract the iota of data. So if I were to show you the rule set, you see, we've got rule sets written for a lot of stuff. NDAs, leases, catalogs. So we start with these rule sets, but we modify each one of them for the client because the client always wants different stuff extracted. And how they want extracted is also sometimes different. So we start with the rule set, but modify it. That's why it's very customized offering. So if you see, just for the sake of a demo, which you'll be doing, from NDAs, we've said extract the agreement titles, party names, term, assignment clause, governing law, effective date, return of materials clause. Is there one? And if you were to look at what the languages look like, it says dollar start, dollar one-off, dollar end. So it's got all these functions that in the scripting language that we've developed. I'm going to run this. So does that answer part of your question, Chinman? I haven't, there'll be a full training if you need for writing rules. I'm not the rule writing expert, but I just wanted to show you approximately how we get it done.
Yep.
Is that okay? So I'm going to execute this. So I'll pull up the files. From here, I'll pull up a few of these NDAs. I'll select that rule set against which I'm running the file. And I'll call this transaction AP3, this 3. And start the execution. It takes about 15-20 seconds. And I haven't opened the file, so give me 1 second. I shall open the demo files. So that's in here. 1 second, please.
So when we talk about legacy, it's obviously done in bulk, right? Is there any sort of limitation of performance impacts in terms of number of documents you can bulk extract at a time?
No, not at all. There's no limitation on number of attributes. There's no limitation on the number of documents. But those are the two biggest pricing levers, right? And you'll see why at the end. Okay. So these are some of the agreements. You see the scan is bad, correct? It's a little smudgy. And the OCR engine took this Donald Smith and we forced it for a demo just to show you why you actually require QC of each and every element if you want accuracy. So this Donald Smith, it OCR'd and put it as Bonald Smith. Everybody could see that, but the OCR engine thought it was Bonald Smith. It didn't know better. We've argued with clients. Is that a 5? Is that an or an S? Is it an I or an L? It's sometimes just not possible to know, right? So the OCR engine can't do anything. Look at this. This is a different agreement. This is yet another different type of agreement. This is different. But so all this doesn't matter. Most of Alorica was third-party paper. And it didn't matter because we can configure all these patterns into our engine, which is a little iterative job that we do. But what you're extracting out of this are the same 8 to 10 things, right? So I'll go back to the software, which must have crawled through, called it AP3. Now is the QC process our lawyers are going through. So you have to imagine 2 screens that are open. I can't show you 2 screens. One screen has these agreements open, and the other one is this screen. I told you about the chunk data. I'll tell you why it's highlighted a little later. So it extracted the chunk from page 1, line 1, and honed in, and that was the exact value. So all the lawyer has to do is verify it. They verify each and every item that is extracted, which is how you get accuracy. Microacme group perfectly extracted. Look at this. Donald Smith was extracted as the software saw it, but the human knows. So change that to Donald Smith. If you didn't do that, it would have gone in as a Donald Smith record with a space in the middle with an Apttus, and they'd never find the agreement, right? 2 years, we not only didn't extract it, but it formatted as 2 space years. Now, if your PS team wants it just as the number 2, we can do that. If you want to translate into months, we can do that. All that is the customization. We can do what the client wants and how Apttus would want to see it. So they go verify. We pulled out the whole clause. Perfect. It was on page 2, line 18. Now you see why it's highlighted. It's easier to QC it. This agreement shall be governed in the laws of the United States. Pulled out the United States. Perfect. Not only did it pull out the effective date correctly, but we even told it to format it accordingly. Now, if you say you want the format as, spell out the months, we can do that too. So engine is doing a bulk of the heavy lifting. It interpreted return of materials. Says, yes, it found text which says that there is a return of materials clause. And they verify it. So now the first one is done, and it jumps to the second one for the QC, and 3 are left. I'll fly through this a little faster. It pulled out, nice, perfect, Acme, 10 years, formatted it correctly. But look at this one. Governing law. This agreement shall be governed by and construed in accordance to the state of the laws of California, applicable to contracts entered into and wholly to be performed within the state of New York. It found 2 states. We hadn't told it how to distinguish between the 2. I still can't tell. So it pulled both out. And you said, listen, you make a decision, Mr. Lawyer. So I was told it's not this and it's this. Makes it so much easier than cutting and pasting. I'll verify that. And no, it did not find a return of materials clause. What if it was a bad scan? What if material was mistyped with an N as material? No, and the software didn't find it. So it's better for that's why we make the lawyer verify everything. Now it jumps to the third one. I've got a cheat button for verify all, but extracted it properly, Oregon, dates, all correct. So I just cheat for the sake of a demo. And we'll just do the last one. So we finished the 4. This is finished. Go to results. So I finished the job. I export this all into one file. And this is what we give back to your PS team. This format can be changed into any way that is required. That is honed in that definition phase. See, we changed Donald Smith, we changed California. So I believe for XAuthor, what you do is you take this sheet, it's got the file name here. You put everything, all the documents within one folder, use XAuthor, make sure all these attributes are configured within Apttus, and it uploads everything in one fell swoop. Does that make sense?
Yep.
We do a lot of checking, post-checking after it comes into Excel here. You know, maybe we put in check of dates. Nothing should be before 1990 or something like that. We signal it so that it's double-checked. And we can go up to 3 levels of checking. One person checking it, what you saw, and we can make an independent person check the first person's work, and then yet a third person check the first 2 people's work, and the price changes accordingly because that's all manual checking against the original document. And that is all reflected in. But what happens when you do that is the accuracy goes up. So when you do the first level of checking, we get from 95 to 98% accuracy. It's typically a little higher than that. We just hedge it a bit. If a second level of review is done, we get from 98 to 99.5% accuracy. And if a third level is done, we get from 99.5 to 6 sigma levels of accuracy. But the cost goes up. And the clients can say, I want these agreements, my NDA is at the lowest level, but I want my supplier agreements at the highest levels. No problems. So, make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Any questions I can answer?
So from a demo perspective, how does this work in terms of, do we get are the SEs all going to get one shared demo instance, if you will? And how do we get the training and
yeah, so this was the first part of the training. And that's why it's recorded. What I'll do is I'll set you guys up individually, whoever wants, under the Apttus company name for the demos. I will send these files to you, right? And you can practice the demo and ping me or Daniel independently if you get stuck or you need some more help. Okay. I'm happy to do this over and over again.
Yeah, I think the thing that's just not intuitive is just not fairly straightforward. It's just the role definition, the attribute definition, and everything, right?
I'm sorry, I lost you that.
The part where you have to define how to pick up the text.
How to define the attributes. Yeah, I have never in 3 years done a demo of showing people how you define the attribute.
So is there a guide of some sort that we can
Yeah,
refer?
we can train you on that, but that comes about only because we use the software internally. Our clients never actually asked for that. I just show them exactly what I've showed you.
Okay.
And it's never been asked because we say we have all this configuration, but you don't need to worry about it because we do all this internally.
Got it. So
Okay, so
the
I've
demo
never done it
instance,
myself. I can't write rules if you ask me.
so the demo instance that you will share with us already has a set of rules and stuff defined, right?
Yes, you'll see exactly what you saw here. So I'll give that rule set that extracts stuff from these agreements. It'll be pre-configured. So you just have to run the demo like I showed you right now.
Got it. Okay.
Well scripted.
Cool. Makes sense. Yeah, I just didn't know if there's any situation at all where the client comes back and says, "Hey, can you show us in real time how do you define the rules? How do you define the attributes and such?" So
Yeah, I can train you on that. I've never been asked for 3 years, but what does happen is a POC. So the client will say, I'll give you a set of documents. I just want us to know how much your software will do and how much the lawyers will do. Okay. And we welcome that. Of course, we try to limit it. So we say, give us 10, 15 documents, 5, 7 attributes, and we do a POC. And my team writes the rules, and we show them, see, this is what the software extracted. This is what the software didn't do because see, it was bad in the original document, right? And that's why our lawyers fix it. And you only get the end result, which is the accuracy level we've given, guaranteed in an SLA to you. So POCs do happen, but they've never ever asked me to do a rule set on the fly. If they do, just say, I'm not, I myself say, I might have designed the software, but I'm not a rule writer. I would need to get my team involved. But they've never asked that.
got it. Makes sense.
I can train you guys anyways, in case, you can take, I think the PS team slowly will be trained on the rule writing also. I can train one of you guys also, no issue, not me, but my people in India, but it's never been asked. It's a good question to know, though, that you can answer it.
Sounds good.
So I'll set you, so tell me, who should I set up as the login? All of you? How many people do you want trained? Do you want me to do this again? You need to guide me on what to do.
Yeah, let me get back to you on that one. George's team is probably. I'll talk to Chris to figure out how many people need it, and then I'll send you a note after maybe early next week or something with an initial list of logins and SCs that will need it.
Wonderful. And Daniel and I are happy to do this. You can even call us and practice on us if you want. Not an issue. Yeah.
Yep. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Cheers.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.